There are 7 secrets that no one talks about that can help you declutter and maybe even minimize your house, and it is not extreme. You might be considering living with a little bit less and going minimalist, and I will get into that word in a bit. But first, here are some questions I hear all the time. Do minimalists even have messes? Yep, they do. Do minimalists live in white, boring homes? And do minimalists have sentimental things? Do I have to declutter everything meaningful to become a minimalist? A lot of people might think that minimalists have no messy spots and no random things in their homes. Now, of course, I can only speak for myself and what's in my drawers and my cupboards, but things do get a wee bit messy from time to time. Here is a little secret of my own. Part of the reason that I show decluttering my junk drawer so often is because it gets messy. It's also a great place to start, but this type of thing needs maintenance, and we all have spots that need a little bit maintenance. So for minimalists and other people who live with a lot less, we still have some messy spots. Cleaning is just a lot easier. Now, the important thing for us to remember is that not everyone is Martha Stewart. I bet not even Martha Stewart is really Martha Stewart. Now, unless you have 0 hobbies, you don't clean, or you don't cook, you're going to have some things in your drawers. And some of those drawers are going to keep random little things that you are keeping because you do occasionally use them, which can at times get a wee bit messy. I also live with 3 other people. My eldest is at college, so he's not here, and he was the messiest. Anyway, we live here. We get tired. We put things down. We don't pick them up. We go to bed. We get blind to them being there. Then we do pick them up. It's a whole thing. But cleaning is so much easier when you live in a decluttered house or even a minimalist house. Another thing you might not realize is that almost all of the minimalists that you see on YouTube and on the blogs did not start out that way. Now, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and there was nothing minimal about those times. I mean, I didn't grow up shopping on Rodeo Drive, yet we did manage to have a lot of stuff, despite the fact that we didn't have a lot of money, which is partially why decluttering was a very foreign concept for a long time. And a major pastime for several decades has been shopping. So often we would go away, and that was like what we did. Instead of going on hikes and stuff, we went shopping. Meaning a lot of us come from the land of consumption and storage solutions. I bet the vast majority of minimalists started out as normal people with boxes crammed under the stairs and in attics, and then realized something just wasn't working and decided to make a change. And for me, it was an article, and it said that women are affected by clutter worse than men. And suddenly it just clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I am super bothered by all of this clutter, and I did not realize it. Like when I would say, we need to clean, we need to clean, we need to clean. And my husband was always like, well, we do. The house is clean. And I was always like, no, it isn't. It's because of the clutter. When I first started my decluttering journey, my family was worried that I would declutter everything, which, believe me, is a very common concern. Quite often people come to me and they say, well, it's because of my husband, or it's because of my daughter, it's because of this and this. And I get it, because change scares people. When we have somebody in our lives who is making a change, it can make us feel a little bit uneasy. And that could happen with your family. It certainly happened with mine. But no, I was not going to declutter everything. What I did was I decluttered what I don't and didn't use. And I say don't because we still continue to declutter. My family, they were afraid that our house would end up like a museum. No, it is anything but a museum. It is lived in. Take me, for example. Now, in a recent live stream, I was saying how I don't like the term reasonable minimalist, which I had been using for a while, because I am not extreme like some people are, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because that works for them. But for me, I consider myself minimalist light, which means I still have some things. Like I have things for my hobbies. I have a lot of things for cooking because I love cooking. I recently bought a pasta roller last year because I knew I would use it, and I do. Would some minimalists say, no way, I'm not having that? Probably. So the secret is that minimalists don't actually declutter everything. We declutter what we don't need, want, or use. we curate. Well, in a lot of cases anyway. Now, quite often, I think people feel like being a minimalist, you have to live in a cold, stark, boring home, and it always has to be white. Now, sure, this kitchen is a little bit white, but you can actually live in a very colorful home and still be a minimalist. Yes, we've all seen those photos, and I think these homes are perfectly lovely, but they are not homey to me. They don't feel inviting and warm to me. But to each their own. Now, you might not even consider my home homey or warm, but I do. The important thing is that you do. And so often people will say, oh, well, like these homes, they're cold, they're this, they're that. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Are you saying that because you actually don't like it or because you're almost using it as an excuse not to declutter? I'm just asking. I do have important things around me, but nothing that isn't important. And this is one of my favorite secrets about minimalism and decluttering is that you can really show a lot of personality because it's easier to consume and see because the truly special things are showcased. I've got my books, my artwork, pieces that remind me of special people. So this otter my grandma gave my husband because he loves otters. We live by the ocean. And she gave it to him. I accidentally broke its tail off and its ear got chipped. But this is something we love and we keep it out here. It helps show our personality. I'm not even gonna lie, this bookshelf that we have, it even feels like too much sometimes. I try to keep it minimally decorated though, so that you can see each piece, although I do intend on minimizing it a little bit more, just so that everything can sort of breathe a little bit. But as minimalists, we do have some stuff. I mean, have you seen the Lego room? And that's the best part though. You can pick out your very favorite pieces of your belongings and leave those out. And it's so much more curated and enjoyable for me anyway. Another secret is that minimalism is surprisingly good for the environment. Something I've heard is that minimalism is wasteful. Nope. Yes, there can be an element of discarding things in landfills as a last resort. And I made a reel/short yesterday, and the uproar that I would throw something that seemed like it just needed a little patch away was just too much for a lot of people to take. I probably could have worded things differently. Well, I'm going to be honest. I hate throwing things away, especially clothes, but no one is recycling clothes around here. And it literally had holes in each of the sleeves. It had holes in the front, both elbows. I mean, it was a mess. So yes, occasionally something has to go to the landfill, whether or not we like it. But minimalist or not, stuff is going to end up in the landfill when you die anyway. I hate to say it, but it's true. If you live with all of these things around you in your house and you never declutter because you're afraid or you feel bad sending things to the landfill, what do you think is going to happen when you die? It's going to go there anyway. Send it there now so it's not bothering you in the meantime. Yes, when decluttering, I recommend that we only send things to the landfill when something is broken and it cannot be repaired. When we practice minimalism, we don't just declutter, we also change our shopping habit. Literally the second Pretty Woman reference, and I am here for it. You can never have enough Pretty Woman. As minimalists, light, we prioritize our space and our environment. We recognize that our environment is very important for our mental health and our mood. So before I buy anything, I make sure that I will use it or love it and that I have a place to keep it. And I also think, will this turn into clutter or will I be decluttering this soon? And I know as a result of that, I buy way less than I used to, which not only saves me space, but it also saves me money. Now I know what you might be thinking. Minimalism is hard. Before I went minimalist, I spent a lot of my time shuffling things around, planning whole weekends to organize and to tidy up. Now, I have told this story before, and I'm going to tell it again briefly. Now, I used to work in the third busiest emergency department in British Columbia. I would come home after dealing with people who truly were having like the worst days of their life. Terrible things were happening. And I got home, I wanted to snuggle my kids, my husband, my cats, but no, because I had to deal with my house. It was too overwhelming and too upsetting to be in this kind of environment. But once I went minimalist, I realized minimalism is actually really, really easy. Not being a minimalist is hard. When I clean, I will, of course, have to yell at my teens to pick their stuff up, but it is so much easier to clean. And if I get home from like shopping, like say you go to Costco, you know, and like you're so tired and you just want to like sit down, I can without guilt because the house is reasonably tidy. I mean, I did mention that we live here. So yeah, being a minimalist is actually really easy. Now, another secret is to have somebody come along to help you. It can be so helpful when you have somebody who can keep you accountable. So if you said, I'm going to declutter all of the socks that don't have partners, and then you found a sock that didn't have a partner, but you were like, but I really like this sock. And then your friend could be like, well, here's the thing. You said that you were going to declutter all of the socks. I mean, you work out whatever dynamics you want, but it can be super helpful to have people join you. And if you want, I can be that person that joins you too. So check out this video. This is all about how to declutter from beginning to end. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.